Welcome. I'm Deborah and Clement, and today I am welcoming Gosha from GoshaAstrology.com to the show. And Gosha is a professional astrologer, and she is trained in several different specialty areas, quite frankly, in astrology. And so we're going to be talking today about how she uses them, quite frankly, to help her clients, empower her clients. And on that note, I want to say, Gosha, welcome to the show, and thank you for joining me today.
Hello, Debra. Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me. And thank you for making time to have an interview with me. I'm very grateful.
Well, I'm excited to talk to you today because you're not that other astrologers are run-of-the-mill astrologers, but you really have a lot of things in your astrological toolkit, I'm just going to say, and some that are not in my wheelhouse at all. So I do like to ask everyone, though, just initially, what drew you to astrology?
Debra, it is like fate. I was 13 years old. In astrology world, it's a Saturn period. Mm-hmm. I have been introduced to the family friend who was in her late 80s. And this lady was an astrologer. And this is how it started. And since then, for last over 30 something years, I'm into astrology, and it became not only my passion, but also my vocation and my job.
It's a calling, don't you think?
It is a calling. It's definitely a calling. When I was in my 20s, I could never push it away. It would always come back.
Yeah. Now, I just feel that people who love astrology learn astrology, but people who practice it, we're called to do it.
It is a calling, and it's also that different branches of astrology were showing themselves on the shelves. And I would also meet teachers who were good in this field to share the knowledge, so I can incorporate it in my counseling and then return it to the people.
And on that note, I want to talk about your approach to astrology and your style with astrology. And so first of all, you do focus on the soul's evolutionary needs.
Yes.
And so would you talk about that a bit?
So first of all, I believe in the free will, that everybody is a master of his destiny, and that we have the free will through the decisions and also through the level of consciousness. To the level you know yourself, you're able to better steer your life. So when it comes to evolutionary astrology, depending on person's belief system, I truly believe, and I see it through my practice, that when we are born, we come to this life, we come with a past. You can call it ancestral past, you can call it a karma, you choose the wording. I believe that every chart has a chart in the back. And this is the chart, that's a mission, that's a path we are supposed to walk in this lifetime. Some people take longer to find their path. Some people are very clear at a very young age. I have been found to do the astrology when I was 13. Some other people wait till they're 40. Everything is for the reason. So evolutionary astrology is to be part of the big tapestry that we call life on this earth.
Beautifully stated. Beautifully stated. And, when you were talking about, because we come into this lifetime, right, with our mission, some get there quicker than others, which is certainly.
And that's fine.
Yeah,
because we need to learn certain lessons to be prepared and ready to really open up to the real path that we are here for.
And so when you are working, I'm just going to say, with a client, and clients come, sometimes they just want a general reading, right? They just want to know, right? And that is fine. But when a client comes to you, and I'm just going to say, and maybe there is a specific issue, and maybe it's, maybe it's their relationships, maybe it's their health, whatever one, it doesn't matter, right? And so when you are looking at the chart or looking at your chart in any respect, is there anything in particular that's sort of like a go-to for you, something that just always you look at first, or does it just, I mean, it's the entire chart, we know that, but I'm just curious.
It all depends on the person, because when the person comes and through the questions he or she is asking, you know how much they are interested in having only the data for a solution, or how much they are interested in digging deeper into the chart behind the chart. My role is to give the information the person is ready to receive or ready to hear. My role is not to force any thing that I see in the chart on the person. That would be disrespectful. So it's very subtle, but when, and I'm sure you have the same experience, somebody asks the questions, somebody make a comment, and this is that trigger to say, okay, this person is giving me the information to go more into the evolutionary astrology. Some people are very, I'm sorry. Some people know about it and they come and they say straight away, what's my path? And I say, I will tell you which direction it is, but I will not tell you what it is. You have to find it yourself. That's your soul calling.
And that's what I was just going to say to you, and I didn't mean to start to interrupt you. I just got excited. And what I was going to say is that, because I think a big, sometimes it's even a misconception, I think, with people, is they feel they're going to see an astrologer and we're going to tell them what to do. Right? This is the answer. This is the solution. And the thing is, you can see so much, and certainly in the connection to the soul's past. And I look at the soul's past as well, though I look at it from a different perspective than you do, or a different technique. But at the end of the day, even looking at where the soul has come, what it's aspiring to, we can give them information. And I think one of the most helpful things is sometimes what we can spot is something that, for the person, the awakening or the awareness of, yeah, that's what I've kind of been stuck, or that's a pattern that I keep repeating. And so I find that like to be so helpful. But at the end of the day, they have to make that decision, right? That they are going to move forward.
Exactly.
And that's why I always say, we come here to learn. I think we get a lot of chances to get it wrong before we get it right.
Exactly. But this is the learning. This is the learning. And it's certain things will not happen before we have learned.
I love that. I absolutely love that, because it is so true. And it's just that I feel for any reason, when you are in a pattern, you keep repeating, it's, different person, but same situation, because you haven't gotten that lesson yet. You haven't changed your consciousness, you haven't changed your energy. And so even though, of course, no one wants to go through it, but every time you're in that pattern, it is the opportunity to break through it.
And what astrology can do, and evolutionary astrology especially, is that if the person is ready and can hear the reading, sometimes it's enough to hear two words that are setting a person on the they have aha moment. And it's not about me or you telling them what the truth is. It's more of triggering some awareness in the person.
I think at times for some people, it is almost, and I know I've gotten this as feedback from clients, it is sort of like an awakening. It's an awakening, because something is said, and I always say, really it's coming from within them. It's like they're remembering. It may not be conscious, but their soul, whatever, right? And they are remembering. And, we are here, and I say this all the time as well. Why are we here? We are here to exercise our free will. Get it right, get it wrong, but we're here to make those decisions. And ultimately.
And when you say that they hear it or they feel it, from my experience, I know that that the truth is in the person itself. And very often this little voice, it's so weak, we barely hear it. So when you have a meeting, when the person has a meeting with the astrologer, and we can kind of x-ray not the person, but the path, with astrology, we can validate the voice, we can enforce the voice, so they tune into it, and the life becomes not necessarily easier, but the person is more in harmony with him or herself and with the divine. Let me use this nice word, a divine path.
Well, I was going to say to you too, when you talk about the validation, because I really do feel one of the biggest, most helpful benefits of an astrological reading. There's a lot to be said to sit there with a person, a stranger, who knows nothing about your life, looks into this wheel, right? That the client makes no sense to me, and you validate somebody's experience, and for them to say, my God, and understand that there's a reason for it, which is also right. There's a reason that maybe I struggled, or there's a reason for, let's say, my pain.
Exactly.
And you mentioned the divine, and I also think it is, because they do know within, it helps, I feel, connect them or awaken them more to their, call it higher self, higher consciousness,
Exactly.
because the answers, right, they are within. And so that's why that wheel, that I know to so many, it's mind-boggling, right, to them. And to us, it just speaks. And I always say, don't worry if you don't understand it, if it doesn't make sense to you, because it makes sense to me and it speaks volumes.
Exactly. The value added of astrology is that we can not only validate this little voice, we can also say timing, help with timing, because very often when people come to us, they go through turbulent time, there is some suffering, some pain. If you can say that you have 6 months ahead of you of this, I would say, hard work, because nobody should sit and wait for the certain transit to pass and wait for the, you know, for the grace of the heaven. But it's we can steer that, okay, this is the work you have to do. I mean, I would advise, this is the effort you have to do to help this passage of, let's say, Saturn, which is the big teacher.
Yes.
To make it better in the future. But you have a window of 6 months. If you can go through this time and make it and pass the exam, you will be much better off. So giving this perspective helps take the right decisions. Not everybody will act on it, but that's a free choice. But
Exactly.
by giving the timing, people can look outside of the box and say, okay, I'm not stuck in this pain for the next 100 years. No, there are cycles. Everything is a cycle.
And you know, everything passes, really. All the cycles, they pass, some of them, of course, repeat. But it's we always say it's about working with the energy. And that's what it is. When we have this very supportive energy, of course, it's making the most of it. But when we come to those challenging times, and everybody does, it's just, right, it's part of life, it's part of the human experience. It's making the best of it, so to speak, because there's opportunities and challenges. And the opportunity, of course, is to grow. We don't grow when we're just content. You know, really, when you think about it, when we take a leap and when we grow, it's really rooted in some type of dissatisfaction. There's something, maybe I'm not happy, and doesn't mean I hate it, but I need that motivation to sort of also propel me forward. And that's the hard energies.
Exactly.
They make you aware, maybe, of what isn't quite right for you, for the, you know, us individually, and to push us forward. So yeah,
it is to do the right thing, but also the more conscious we are about the type of energy that's at this given moment in our life, we can make more conscious use of the given time, which means at the end we will draw better benefits, or more benefits.
And I do think, to be honest, even on the simplest level, sometimes just knowing for a person, number one, an understanding of why it's happening and what the purpose is, but also, quite frankly, knowing that I have to get to this point and it's going to be over. And, you know, going back years ago, when I did the first podcast, and I named it Anchored in Astrology.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I named it, and I say this, is because I went through a couple of years, everything was ganging up on my son. I had very hard, really traumatic times. And it helped me keep my sanity. I looked at those cycles, I looked at those transits. And of course, I did my best to work with them because I did have some knowledge. Didn't have the knowledge then that I have now, but still I would look at it and think, okay, let me sort of maybe have to be stronger during this time. Maybe I need a little bit more rest during this time. But I was under a Saturn transit. And one thing I knew is that I needed to do the work. I needed that self-discipline.
Exactly.
It wasn't a time to delay. It wasn't a time for shortcuts. It was a time for persistence, perseverance. And it did, because Saturn does reward. And so the timing, and that I do ongoing, because you do, besides, of course, it's the evolutionary and the chart of the soul. And you use a number of techniques.
Of course,
do your
yes.
forecasting, and you do different types of predictive work. But first, I just want to.
So I use different techniques in the predictive work.
Yes.
And I also read I'm able to read, I have the techniques to read the past lives experiences. Yes. And also in terms of evolutionary astrology, the gifts we come with, the skipped steps we did in past lives, and what
explain that. I'm just going to say to you, because I know what it means, but for those who are not familiar and they hear, oh, there's a skipped step. And
yes, when I started astrology, in my chart I have skipped steps, so I was.
So do I.
Yes, I was always confused. What did I skip? What did I skip? So as I said, we also come with gifts, with talents, with good karma. And I don't like the word exactly good karma. I would say you have a good karmic bank account, okay, that you can draw from in this lifetime. When it comes to skip steps, is, for example, we have skipped the step because we didn't do the job of Saturn, meaning we didn't do the effort for whatever is the reason. We maybe did not do something because we have died prematurely, or we were married too early into the relationship. We could not develop, for example, our artistic talent. And in this lifetime, we have to give expression space. And this is clearly marked in the person's chart, or the person was bounded and now needs to express the freedom. Different scenarios. I always say that when I read the past life, is that I will tell the true story using non-true facts. I mean, facts in quotes. Yes. It will be a true story based on non-true facts. But the idea is to touch the heart of the person. If I see the person resonates with the story, this is when I know I hit the point, because the person, the truth, the knowledge is in every one of us. The story is in us. It's just a question of awakening it.
Because the soul remembers, all right? I
mean, the soul remembers. We have all the knowledge.
Yes, the soul has all of the knowledge. So, I look at, when I look at the past lives, and I look at the South Node, and I always say it's the soul's resume, it's all those gifts and all those talents. And certainly we're all aspiring, let's say, to where we're going. Yeah. But at the end of the day, and when we talk about past life or past experience, I love the way you put it. It's a story, but it's not really based on like absolute facts, verifiable facts.
No.
But it's the theme. You see, even if the
theme, yes,
the theme is going to resonate. And what I think sometimes maybe people misunderstand or something is that just because we have a life and we've had lessons doesn't mean that we can spend a lifetime, we don't always complete or learn this lesson in a single lifetime. So many times when we're in this lifetime, it's sort of in progress. We are still learning that lesson.
From lifetime to lifetime, it's a process. It's like pieces. Yeah. And when we die, we just stop. We come from one reality into another one. We don't remember what's on the other side.
No.
And when we come here, we don't remember what was there, what contracts we did before we enter this lifetime. But through the chart, we can say, and we can see also through meeting different people. This is when we do the synastry with family, with partners, with bosses. We see that these people are triggering some evolutionary needs in our chart or in us.
Yeah, because we came in, and that's the point. We come in here, we don't remember. It's sort of like this clean slate, or blank slate, I should say.
Yeah.
Though I do believe babies remember everything. They just can't verbalize it.
Yes.
It's my belief. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing about the chart, and that's why I didn't believe this immediately. When I first started with astrology, I mean, of course, I was very interested in what's said about me, to be really honest, right?
When we always start with us. So.
Yeah, right. We start with us. But the more I worked with the chart,
mm-hmm.
and the more I really understood, and that's why I say it's a shortcut to the soul. That's where the information. No, we don't get, literally a cheat sheet or a handbook, and we don't get the answers. And one of the things too, and to me, this is, and I'm just my work with clients, and even in my own life, quite frankly, is that if you have a situation in your life, it could be a relationship pattern, I don't care what it is, but you find yourself, again, repeating it. Like, I'm always stuck in this position, or I always get whatever. That pattern right there, just the average person, you have a pattern that keeps repeating. This is a soul lesson. Yes.
That's a soul lesson.
And go to really a qualified astrologer and ask that question. Ask them to look at those patterns, at those soul lessons, because while the problem, and so I say the problem, if you want to call it a problem, or the issue is absolutely in the chart. And when I say to people, so is the solution, it's not
exactly
the answer that I'm saying, here it is, and this is what you have to do. I mean, we all wish, God, I wish somebody could tell me what to do and I would do it. Well, it's not how it works.
It's not the prescription for success.
Right.
Not everybody is Gates. Not everybody makes millions, but we can all succeed in doing the work and finding the path for the soul path in this lifetime.
And that's the other thing, is that, some of us, there are some people who come into this lifetime, and they are here to make a mark in the world, in the nation.
Exactly.
And most of us come in, and our lessons are just as important. It just may be played out in a smaller level or a smaller community. And because relationships, that's one thing I'm just going to say, is because people will say, oh, relationships, to some degree, I feel we're all here to learn about relationships. Sometimes it's romantic, sometimes it's family, sometimes it's relationships with authority, people who have issues at work. And it's just tremendous insight. And the whole point that you made before is it's very much not just about, of course, you're telling them and you're sharing it, and of course that's so valuable, but the biggest thing is when they make that connection. And it is because you are connecting with the soul. You're connecting with their soul.
It's a connection with the soul, but also putting the pieces together for the person to see the bigger picture. The final step, the final decision to connect, it's with the person. We cannot do the work for somebody else. We give the tools. And this is what I insist on. There is a free will. We cannot make somebody, we cannot heal somebody, but we can show the path to the healing.
And you beat me to it, but that's what I was going to say. That's what you're doing, is you're giving them the direction and the tools. And then it's up to them. But ultimately, that's what I was going to say when we talk about, the reading and the benefits besides the validation. Really, it's healing. It's all about healing and becoming whole.
It is coming home. Yes. Right. It can become coming home. Because with astrology, we have so many tools, not only looking in the past and answering certain questions like why and what for, but we can also put it in the future and say, okay, this is the time frame. So you're not stuck against the wall and the wall will be always in front of you. You can look a little bit to the right and go around the wall. And this will be by that timing. And then when it comes to the patterns, like why am I repeating this pattern with this type of people, we can also answer these questions. We can do the synastry between two charts, between three charts, and say, okay, this is the dynamic. This is what is triggering in you. So the chart is inviting you to work on this part of yourself or on this part of yourself so you can alleviate it, heal it, and get over it, and free a lot of energy that you can use for something else.
Yeah, because let's face it, the relationships that trigger us,
Yeah.
these souls are here. They're playing a role. That's the purpose. They are here.
That's a contract,
right? That's the reason.
That's a contract, exactly.
Yeah.
Because the other side of, the other branch of astrology is that we can help with a prescription for the most fulfilling life. The thing is that there are signs in the chart that if you are not on this path, you might develop certain type of illnesses. So in the chart, we can also read that if you are on the path A, there is a risk of this type of health problems.
Yes, potential, the potential.
There is always a potential. It doesn't have to be like that. We can work on things. We can, through nutrition, through exercise, through different things to not go this way. But it always goes back to work on yourself. And the more tools you have, the shorter the pain to get to that.
At the end of because really at the end of the day, and it is something that we always do stress, right? It comes down, whatever it is, it comes down to us. We have to do the work. Nobody can do it for us.
No.
And we certainly,
No.
as much as, sometimes we'd love to do it for other people, but we can't. And sometimes we can't save people. We can't heal people. We can love them, right? We can, we can love them and we can help them. But when you're talking about the future and even the influences, because it is about making the most, and I will just say of the moment, of the moment and of the future without, again, there's no strict, I'm going to call it rules. There's no musts. There's no shoulds. It really is, I agree with you 100%, absolutely about free will, that we free will, we have choice. And the thing about, I love predictive astrology, that has been, my passion. That's where really, I went right there from the natal to the predictive.
It's so scientific. It cannot go wrong.
Yes. And the thing is that there is the practical sense of it where I'm just going to say, someone wants to know an opportunity. When might I meet someone? When might that, I connect with somebody? Or again, let's say a job. But the thing about, because very often it's common, it's like, when am I going to meet the one? Or when am I going to meet someone? And so just to go to this point, so we can even see a time with the timing of somebody coming in.
Definitely, yes.
And a person can come in and it can be, let's say it's a marriage opportunity or whatever. But the person that comes in, whether it is the one you're going to have happiness with, right? Or whether it is here for someone for you to learn, that is also going to depend largely on the chart. And also, and this is my point that I do make a lot to clients is, and just in general, that when we do have wonderful influences coming in, because we do like to see those, right? And it's like, yes, my God, I've worked and here's this opportunity is coming. But really, how much we reap it besides our own action at this time is what have we been doing up until then?
I always tell my
right, like
I always tell my clients, just because there is a Jupiter, which is the biggest luck you can have, if you don't move a finger to reach for it, it will do nothing for you. There has to be initiation. The sparkle has to come from the person. If the person wants to change the job, there is a perfect opportunity. If you don't apply for the job, Jupiter will not grant you the wish. You have to do the step.
And that is the key word, is opportunity.
It's opportunity, and the thing is, for the with the forecasting, we can say, don't miss this frame. Don't go for the, I don't know, for the trip and party. Sit down, make applications for the dream job, give yourself a chance.
But do something.
Exactly, do something, and this is the time frame in which you have to do something.
And so, you know what, speaking there of time frames, not time frames, but I do want to mention something about your services.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And so I do want you to talk a little bit about your services, what you offer. And so if you want to just talk about that a moment, because you do have a special offer for our listeners.
Yes, we do have a special offer. So the offer is that the general reading looks at everything. So I analyze the chart, I look into the future for 12 months, any area that comes up as important. Shall you have one area of life that needs to be looked at, be it work, be it any type of relationship, work relationship, or romantic, or family, with children or with parents, be it the health. This is one subject, one reading session, and we will look into what are the circumstances of the situation, and we will look into the next 12 months, what are the opportunities to solve it or to take advantage of it. For example, if there is a planned venture, what's the outlook in terms of work. So,
and this is, it's a one, I just want to, everyone to listen, it's one topic. So if you have that burning issue in your life, right?
Exactly.
Burning issue that you need to explore, but you want to, find out more, it's up to you to pick the topic. It's one, obviously it's one topic.
Yes.
And the reading, I think it's about 45 minutes.
It's 45 minutes, yes.
Right, it's a 45-minute reading. It is $99.
Exactly.
Okay.
I believe that 45 minutes, it's enough time to go in depth. And
absolutely.
And also to have a discussion and to find out the guidance or the solutions to any topic that the person has.
You can definitely go in depth for 45 minutes,
Exactly.
one topic. You can definitely go in depth. So if you have or like I say, it could be an introductory reading, or if it is just that one topic. And so how can they book that reading with you?
So on my website, there is a special service with a special offer where you go, you put in your information, you put the description of the special topic. I'm not giving the selection, the special topic is yours, and I'm here to listen and help you with it.
So it'll get it through your website, goshastrology.com. And just if someone's just listening, that is GOSHASTROLOGY.com. And for YouTube, there's going to be a link underneath in the comments. I'm just going to have that right there below, so you can just absolutely check that out. But speaking of reading, so something else that I want to talk about, because you are also a very, very experienced horary practitioner, horary astrology. I want to make sure I get that straight.
Yes, it's an horary astrology, yes.
Yes, horary astrology. It's not something that I practice. I learned a bit about it a while ago. Didn't really do it for me. But a lot of people, it can be very, very helpful. A lot of people I know have asked me, in the past about it. And so if you would just talk about that, explain what that is, because you offer that as well as a service.
So horary is it's a very practical astrology in the way that, since everything is one, and the answers are at the moment where you feel the need to ask a question, the chart, the answer to the question that you have is inscribed in the chart. So for example, the question can be, Should I move to the new job or stay in the current one? What is more beneficial for me? Horary astrology can give the good advice, can not only say yes, no, can also describe the circumstances of the current job and what can happen in the current job, what are the opportunities or troubles in the current job, and also what are opportunities of the development in the future job. For example, a question about health. Should I have the surgery or wait or have a second consultation? This is what horary astrology can very quickly answer. From very important subject to more, I would say, I will use the word trivial one. Should I buy the car A, B, or C? Should I buy the house A, B, and C? Which house will be better for me in the long run? Which house at the end will give me more profit if I want to sell it? So it can be any type of question can be asked. There are certain rules how to formulate the question.
Right, because that's what I was going to say. It's not just like some big general open-ended question. It's specific with a specific outcome in mind,
so,
right?
First of all, the question has to be actionable by you, the person who is asking the question.
Right.
If the question is, will my son marry next year? The person can do nothing about the marriage of the son. That's not in the person's hands.
Okay.
Who will win the presidential elections? We have no influence over it. So any question that can be answered is a question that the person has influence over.
Okay. Okay, that's I
would say very practical. I use it all the time. And
no, it is. It's very practical, and also I was going to say it has to be in a way like very personal to the right.
Yeah, it has to be personal. Yes, yes.
They have their vested interest in it, but it does speak to more, like I say, this is not just some big general, question.
No.
It's very specific with a specific outcome in mind.
It's basically a person can act on it. If I buy the house, will I be able to sell it with a profit? Is this land going to be profitable for me? Should I put my mom, let's say the mom is aging, will she be better off in this healthcare house or in another healthcare house?
Right, and that's because the daughter, let's say it's a daughter, she's the one who is doing the action, is going to make the decision. Because
mom has dementia, mom has to be taken care of, and the daughter has limited trust. Which house is better? She is making a decision, not mom.
But she's making a decision, and she's the one who's going to take the action. Yeah, because it really is, and astrology is complex to begin with, but I know horary astrology, in terms of the process and the rules, there's really a lot to it.
Of course, when I'm contacted for the horary question, and the question is not clear enough, I discuss with the person, I help the person to reformulate the question so we get the best outcome for the person who needs the answer.
Because whether it is horary, whether it is predictive, whether it's the natal chart, and whatever angle we're looking at it from, it is ultimately It's ultimately about helping the client, empowering the client.
Exactly, empowering, helping. It's a vocation. Astrology is a vocation, so it's to give. I have a gift. Which I have developed, and this is to give to everybody. No, and you certainly do. You certainly do. And so on that note, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for spending time here with me today. Thank you very much.
And I'm going to say it's Gosha at goshastrology.com. The link is below. And please check out her website, book a reading. And really, again, Gosha, thank you.
Thank you very much, Deborah, for having me.
And to my listeners, again, thank you for joining us. And until next time, may Jupiter's blessings be your constant companion.
Thank you very much. Take care. Bye-bye.
You too.